So my name's Coulter. I am, y'all heard the term jack of all trades, master of none. We'll go with that for now. I'm a pharmacist by training. I went to pharmacy school, moved to Kentucky, I worked in retail pharmacy for years, and kind of, it's pretty tiring and just really kind of wears one out. The world needs good retail pharmacists, but most of the time they only last for about 7 years before they're like, I gotta do something else, I'm out. So we moved up here because I worked retail, and my husband is also a pharmacist, took a job teaching at Sullivan in their pharmacy program. So we moved up here, had a couple years of doing that. My husband's always been pretty entrepreneurial in his in spirit, I guess you would say. We were always kind of talking about, what else we could do, or what opportunities maybe we could seek out to do something in kind of the small business space, and decided to open Louisville's first paint and drink concept. So I know you guys are way too young to even be thinking about alcohol, but we were the first ones to come to Louisville with kind of one of those type of experiences. So Uptown Art was the place that we owned, and we have kids classes, so maybe when we opened, so 7 years ago, maybe you attended one of those. But adults can come, enjoy a painting, enjoy a glass of wine or a cup of beer as they're painting. And we had loads of private events, and I guess because we were new to the Louisville area, or the whole idea of doing this was new to Louisville, just took off really quickly. And we had no idea that it would get the response that it got. We were both working full time, and we just thought, oh, this is something fun we'll do on the side. And it just really took off. And, more and more, our life was being filled with having to kind of manage and oversee Uptown Art. And maybe we weren't giving as much to our, full-time jobs that we should have. And so over time we made the decision for my husband to go part-time at his work and manage the businesses, and we opened a second location. So we had one in Louisville and one in New Albany, and they did well, and we just started noticing more and more that people were coming in and they just wanted to drink wine. And Louisville, which again, you guys are way too young, but Louisville's really heavy in kind of a bourbon community. Bourbon is a huge industry for Kentucky. And then we also have kind of a place for craft beers. So there's a lot of local microbreweries that are opened, especially in Louisville now. But there really wasn't any restaurants or areas that were focused on wine. And so, I'm sure as you're learning and working through, I think you guys maybe be doing projects or maybe starting businesses of sorts of your own, that, a lot of times when you're thinking about ideas or services, you're trying to think through either a whole new idea, something that has not been previously thought of, or you're thinking of a way to do something that exists better. So like Uber, you guys probably have never ridden in a yellow cab, but they basically disrupted that market, not by creating something new and that a driver is taking you from point A to point B. They do it better. They allow us to not carry money. We can pay with our phone, things like that. So we were the first to market here in Louisville with Uptown Art, and then there were some really fine dining restaurants that were here, but that offered a variety of wine choices. But we were the first in Louisville to really say, okay, we want a broad number of good wines to be available for people to buy by the glass. So I don't know about you guys or the families that you live in, but my husband and I aren't going to go out and buy a $400 bottle of wine. But if someone, if I wanted to do something fancy and have a glass, maybe an expensive glass, that's kind of what we offer at Lumino. So we opened up one of those here, and again, just thought it would be something fun to do on the side. And It's grown. So we opened a second location here, a third one in Fishers, Indiana. We have a fourth one in Cincinnati in the works, and a fifth one in downtown Indianapolis in the works. So my husband is totally all in on the restaurants. He's stepped away from his work entirely from his 9 to 5. I make him keep up his pharmacist degree because I'm like, if the economy takes a turn, you know, the world will always need pharmacists. They might not need their wine as much, but they'll need their pharmacy. And I work 2 days a week at Humana, actually, as in a pharmacist role there. And then 3 days a week I do kind of his bidding, whatever, you know, needs to happen for him. Or I started a nonprofit here called Lemonade Day, and it teaches kids about entrepreneurship. You guys are older and much more mature of an audience than probably what I'm engaged with. What, have you heard of it?
Okay, we did it.
You did it? Oh, last year? Okay.
It was last year. I thought it was the year before.
So we are really targeting kids K through 5, but we had a lot of like middle schoolers participate as well. Where did y'all do it? Do you know?
The waterfront? Yeah.
Through Waterfront? Huh, okay. I don't even know. Oh, your actual day was at the Waterfront? You weren't with the Weston School kids, were you? Okay, because those are boys, but, okay, we had like those situations. So, yeah, we teach kids about entrepreneurship. You know, I don't know what your background is, and I'm sure, you know, your parents or your family are really trying to push you, you know, to go to school and go to college, and these are all great things. But I do think there are people in the world who, you know, college might not be the best option for them, you know, and that they can be builders and shakers and changers even without going there. So for those kids, you know, providing kind of an entrepreneurial outlet is, I think, really important, and kind of exposing them at a really early age to some of these ideas that, you know, you can change, you can be a change maker, and you don't necessarily have to get it always. Don't tell your parents. Your family members has said that. So I've always been involved in kind of the nonprofit sector to some degree, just volunteering, but it wasn't until Lemonade Day that I really kind of hunkered down and have learned a lot about kind of the process of creating a nonprofit and you know, getting funding, kind of, you know, marketing, advertising. You're having to kind of be the jack of all trades in it. And so I kind of have now been able to take those experiences and like people are saying to me, I want to start this nonprofit, but I don't have the time or energy, and they would rather pay me to do the not fun part of paperwork and you know, getting things down on paper just to save their time. So I'm kind of slowly creating a kind of monetizing that value that I can bring to the table, and so I've had, you know, just 2 partners who are kind of working through different projects with me from that perspective. So that's been good too. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely advocates of kind of taking what we learn and pivoting, you know, as we go. So not, you know, I have no stinking clue where we're going to be in 5 years. But, you know, definitely building on what we learn and adjusting if need be to grow. So yeah, do you all, you talk to me for a minute, like what are you all doing? I know this is a girls leadership summer program, and is that right? Actually, now that I said that, do y'all want to explain?
What? You want me to know? Oh, okay. So, basically what we're doing, we're learning how to build and design websites.
Cool.
And most of us, like, even though that might not be something that we're going to go in, like, technology, but we want to be able to use it in the fields that we're interested in. Because we can be using a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's what we're doing. We're learning how to implement that in students.
So I think that's really valuable as a Friday I'll be 34. So as a 34-year-old, I've thought about actually going back myself and taking like online coding classes. I'm like, I feel like this generation, there should just be this, you know how everyone can work remote. Like there should be this basic knowledge, and I think around coding too, like these 12-week classes or some sort of online course that I could take to understand it, because I feel like so much is built around it. And being dependent, like from our restaurant, we have a website, and we're dependent on our developers for every aspect of it. So we have to email them with every change that we need, and it's like, surely if I just understood this much, like I could update our hours, or I could update a PDF online, but every time we email them, cha-ching, like they pay, so I think that's amazing that you all are doing this and building websites, and if you want to build a website for me, I would hire you to do that. What are some areas that you all are wanting to go into that you would apply this skill to? Victoria?
Right.
You want to do pharmacy? So it's really timely discussion. A technology-esque company called PillPack, 31-year-old. They just sold to Amazon. Well, it's not closed, but the deal was announced last week, and it's selling for over $1 billion. So at the age of 31, they're not doing anything new, but again, they're just making things easier and kind of revolutionizing how patients receive their medicine. So now instead of getting like 7 pill bottles, these patients get this cartridge, and a pack pops out for every pill they need to take. So at 8 a.m. it'll say take these 4 pills, and then here's one at 2 p.m. and here's one at 8 p.m. And so they're kind of revolutionizing that industry. So this shows you how technology can be used even in pharmacy, in kind of unique aspects of pharmacy.
So does that like prevent overdose of medicine?
It deals more with, I'm sure it does do that to a degree. They're really in the maintenance medication space, so in things like that will help treat blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, things like that. So yes, it probably helps some, but what it really helps is increase in patient compliance. So we know that if a patient takes their medication like they're supposed to, they're less likely to go to have an ER visit, for instance, or be hospitalized. And so, there's data to support that. And so efforts are made to drive that. And actually, a lot of like insurance companies reimburse on how well a pharmacy gets their patients compliant. So basically, this company is coming in and saying, well, look, all you got to do is print this out, or you'll get something in the mail from us, and it literally tells you, here's the next time of day that you need it, that you need your pills. They have, from a tech perspective, they have an online platform that, you're not dealing with this now, but like, I'm sure like, as we age, everyone is getting older, people are living longer, so like adults dealing with their adult parents, getting to be a little more engaged in that. They've created a platform where it's really easy for someone like me to actually manage my mother's medications if she were to need that. So that's a real like tech savvy way to help patients in the pharmacy area. And I mean, healthcare overall is such a hot topic. The spend that our country, the amount of money that we spend on healthcare overall, there's obviously a lot of opportunity for disruption and change and making things better. So that's where now, a lot of like healthcare technology companies are really booming because there's such a big market there.
What did you say that was called?
PillPack. So if you Google PillPack, they're Amazon's been wanting to get into the pharmacy space. I thought like months ago that they said that they were over it and they didn't want to be in it. It baffles me because I know like medications, they're very cheap from a payer perspective. So, you reimburse very little. So I keep asking the question like, how's this company making money? How are they worth $1 billion? But it's like the Amazon model. My husband was saying to me, they didn't make a penny for the first 10 years, but they got people addicted to using for them. And so now they can charge us $99 a year, and it's worth every penny. You know, I have my Amazon app. I'm like, yes, I'm sitting here. I'll just go ahead and order my maple syrup and my kids' diapers, and you know, it's ridiculous. It's really eliminated the need to like drive my butt 1 mile down the road to go to Walmart. You know, so yeah, it could be kind of the same thing, and that baffles me. Like, I'm sure they have sales. I'm sure that they are worth dollars, money, but. You know, to be paid over $1 billion. I mean, he's 31. Like, I hadn't had a kid. Like, I was having my first kid. You know what I mean? It's just so young to be gonna be so. So yeah. What other areas are y'all interested in? I'm looking at you. I don't know. You really don't know. What did?
Performing arts.
Performing arts. Okay. That's kind of not obvious. I'm sure there's a million ways that like technology can be integrated with performing arts that I can't think of. But you know, everything needs promotion and digital. Yeah. What about you, Lily?
Visual performing arts.
Visual performing arts. So, have you guys ever heard of a podcast? Do y'all listen to podcasts? Is that too nerdy for y'all? Podcast.
Oh, okay.
There's like a little visual artist, a visual artist who started a podcast at a prison, and the podcast is called Ear Hustle, and it is so good. But I thought it was so interesting that a visual artist is using media, you know, and technology to really, I mean, now like create advocates for these guys in jail. So we understand their life and we understand what they're doing and what's going on day to day. They actually, one of the elementary schools here, I forgot which one, got a shout out on that podcast. And they're in San Quentin Prison in California. Ear Hustle. So like if you needed some inspiration, I love it. It's so good. What about you? Anything in technology? It's great, especially you need to be more engaged in these areas. I don't even feel like when I was, I mean, I'm not that far removed from you all, but I don't feel like this was even discussed. Like, you know, when I was in college, it's very much like nurse, you know, pharmacy. Pharmacy's very female driven now. It's a great job if you want to have a family. It's nice to be able to work part-time and make a good living, things like that. But I love hearing this more and more. And actually, there's some great opportunities in this city that I'm sure, is it Anjali? Is that his name? Anjali?
Yeah.
I'm sure she can connect you with, but if you wanted those, I could let you know some of those too.
I have a question. Oh,
Yes,
no,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll ask it.
Well, basically, okay, so my major is called Writing Rhetoric and Digital Studies.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like already a platform
Yeah.
for like this, and then this is like a platform for that. So it's just like tying really good together.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I also do want to do like all that performing stuff, all that performing arts, all of those things. I would love to do those things, and I think that I absolutely need to have like a website, you know, to get all of my work under there, and then, you know, that would really give me a platform for people who are looking for people who are talented.
Yeah. Cool. What about you?
Well,
You want to do law enforcement? Wow, that's more power to you, girl. That's incredible, especially as a woman. I don't know if I can handle it. What about you? Nursing? Okay. The world needs good nurses. I don't know if there will ever not be any good nurses. What was your question?
So, it sounds like you have really great ideas. Did you always think of yourself as an idea person, or
I think so.
as a visionary, I guess?
I think more, I'm definitely more of a to-do list girl. So, you know, in the world, I feel like you kind of have strategists and visionaries, and a lot of times those people have trouble putting pen to paper and actually making actionable, making things happen. They have amazing ideas. I would say I'm definitely more of a boots on the ground. I like to write a to-do list. I love marking things off. It's like a high for me. Whereas, but I do think, having said that, we are comfortable looking around and being like, this doesn't exist, why? And asking the question. And then, having faith and, a lot of prayer. When we opened up Uptown Art, we literally thought, like, are we going to make our mortgage payment this month? Like, is that okay? And you have to go into it knowing, like, this is a risk. And I think a lot of people aren't told about, obtaining some financing, through banks or through small business administration type of loans, that you don't just have to go into it, you don't have to have every dollar saved up. Now, luckily, you have to show that you have a plan, but, we're blessed that worked out really well, and that allowed us to do the restaurant thing, and that's worked out, so we've been able to spin off. But, I don't think, my husband now, people come to us with ideas a lot, like, oh, we should do this, or, oh, you should really do one of these, and, pretty quickly we can be like, I don't think that's gonna work, or, that is a good idea, let's talk about that, and kind of run through the pros and cons, or what could and couldn't work. Also, I think, and you guys are doing this just with your group, like surrounding yourself with people who can help you wade through some of those waters. He has a group of 7 or 8 guys that, they get together and mull things like this over, and kind of having people in your life that you look to as, mentors and friends that, like, there are people, these people that you look at them and you're like, someday they are my goals, like, I want to be that, but and these people should be, good decision makers, kind, I think is the most important thing, just a good-hearted person. So yeah, I think we have good ideas, but I think we're definitely more on the, like, actionable end. And, just knowing that some ideas maybe that you have now could take years to actually come about. Like, we're working on a project now that we have put in, we've put in like 2 or 3 offers on different spaces, and this was like implanted in my husband's head 4 years ago, and so, but as you talk and then you learn and you grow, you see more and more, either this could happen or it couldn't. So I would say, like, if something doesn't work out today, it doesn't mean that 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road it couldn't become something great, Yeah.
So with that, like, how would you advise us to keep the momentum if it, like, takes a while?
That's hard. It's definitely hard. And you get told no a lot with things. And I think just understanding, like, is the reason that I'm being told no, or that something, we've always been blessed in that things kind of work out, and we've always felt like when doors open the right way, those are doors we should walk through. And so if things don't happen, we kind of take that as like a sign in a way, but things are always kind of swirling in your head, I think, again, just talking with people and seeing, if you can get someone around you excited about something, it keeps me energized and excited, Yeah, I don't even know if that really answered your question very well, but I think, that is probably one of the tougher things. Even in the restaurant world, like, my husband loves having these new ideas and trying new things, and it's tougher to keep a place, steady. Blue Vino's been open for 4 years, around 5 years, and it's hard to sometimes keep it like, okay, we still have to push through, this is our brand, like, we're growing even with this brand, rather than just, oh, let's just do something new and fun, Sometimes maintaining is difficult, but I think in the long term, showing that you can be consistent is really important.
I have another question.
Yeah.
2 questions, actually. Can you walk us through, in general, how you go from idea to, in particular, getting a small business loan?
Yeah. So we started when we first started Uptown Art, we did go through like the SBA, traditional kind of small business administration loan route. I think it's kind of a higher interest rate. They make you show a fair amount of like that you have a plan, you know, that you have some sort of income to be able to pay, to afford to open things up. But really for us, it was a lot about just being patient and meeting with, you know, the bank. I think we used Chase Bank for our first thing. And, you know, now I will say, especially, you know, young girls, there is opportunity in technology spaces for like, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of like different sort of startup type of programs where maybe you could win some money, but there's also a lot of like, you've heard of Kickstarter, right? Micro loan lending that's done. There's one called Kiva that I think they let you first get like a $5,000 loan, and then, you know, once that's paid back, and that loan is made from a lot of people, not a bank, and so it's not quite as cumbersome of a process. But the first thing we did took a while to get our lending figured out. Now, it was a small business loan in that it was about $100,000, which to me is a heck of a lot of money. But compared to what they see, you know, with their lending, it was negligible. So, you know, and we just worked really, really hard the first 2 to 3 years to pay that off as quick as we could, and to then save up to show, like, look at what we can do, because we knew there was going to be another ask down the road, right? But I think, you know, nowadays, like with Kiva and some of these other kind of micro loan lending opportunities, it also creates kind of an immediate support system. So if you have 200 people each throwing in $20, you already have like an advocate of your business because they believe in you. So that's why I really like those types of platforms, is because it's also kind of a marketing play. You can get the word out, and anyone that I give money to from an investment standpoint, I'm advocating for, because I want them to do well, because I want my money back, right? So it's kind of a brilliant play, and I think doing something like that could be really beneficial. There's people at Chef Space. Have you all ever heard of Chef Space? That have done those. They're like startup chefs who maybe need just a kitchen and don't want to buy a whole commercial kitchen. So that's what Chef Space is. But I know a couple of them have used micro lending opportunities. Did you have another question?
Yes. How long did it take for you to make a profit?
So we went into, this was like crazy, because with Uptown Art, you know, we went into it and we were both working full time, and my husband said to me, you know, the average length of time for a company to be profitable is 7 years. And I remember being like, 7 years? Like, I'll be 33, ew. And you know, that, from the get-go, that was a company that the cost of opening was relatively small, and then the cost of actual, like, when you came in and painted, you know, say it was like $4 of our cost for you to paint, and we charged $30. And so, yeah, we had to pay teachers and salaries and things like that, but the margin was pretty significant in that area. And so from the get-go, I mean, we were in the black from a payment perspective. You know, it probably took, I think we paid back our loan. I remember my husband texted me and he's like, I'm in a meeting and I'm bored and I'm about to pay off our loan. Like, I'm sitting here and I just want to do something, so I think I'm going to pay off our loan. And I remember being like, yes, like, that's a glorious feeling, you know. But so from the get-go, I mean, we were in the black, and then you know, that's allowed us now to do, like, each thing's a little bit bigger. I gotta reel him in sometimes because I'm a little more conservative with the cash. Like, oh, let's pay this, I'll pay this, and he's more, oh, you know, this is free money. We can get a loan for this. It's free money, and I'm like, feels like handcuffs to me. But so yeah, I mean, I think definitely leveraging some of those opportunities, and then also, especially in cities like this, and Angelique, I mean, her, you know, there's such a network of, like, in the startup community here of people who are willing to back people. You know, you have to show that you will be doing good with their resources, but there's definitely opportunity for that here that, you know, I had never been exposed to before living here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Where are y'all in your program? How long is this?
We're like, I don't know about everybody, but I'm pretty sure we're working on 3 websites at the moment.
As a group,
No,
or
like individually.
oh, you're each doing 3?
Yeah, but we have like a group. We have groups for one of the websites. So our first website, when we started like learning how to like code on a site called Treehouse.
Yeah.
We started learning on there, and we have like a HTML and CSS website that we're all creating based on like an ideal business we would like to start. And then we're also working with a few small businesses and groups to create websites for them.
Oh, cool. So you're actually like putting this to applicable use and doing good in the world. So whose websites are you all making?
So that's why I wrote down the pill pack thing, because I know that me and Tornay and Janaya are working on, we're working with a business called Transitions, and it's for like caregiving. It's helping like caregivers who like take care of people. It's helping them, giving them like platforms. So I was thinking that pill pack thing is something that I could introduce to them like as a resource. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then everybody else can explain their things in a second. But then I just wanted to say the last website that we're doing. We're making like kind of like resumes for ourselves.
Resumes for yourselves through your website? That's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good. That's impressive.
And then
It's 3 more than I've ever made.
maybe we want to teach the play.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, okay, the company who made the website for like giving resources, like information to people who own daycares, like
Oh.
defend them and stuff.
Yeah, cool. It's called what?
Teach to play.
Teach to play.
We're doing a website for a bakery.
Oh, cool.
She is like starting out in her home, and her ultimate goal is to lead. Yes,
Teacherly.
teacherly. Her ultimate goal is to get her products on the shelves in stores. And she's also working to help at-risk youth to like work with her in her bakery. So it's
Oh,
like
cool.
a bunch of stuff going on.
Where is she at in Louisville? Does she use Chef Space?
I have no clue. We haven't met her yet.
Oh, okay.
So.
Cool.
That's what we're doing. I was just saying, that's what we're doing, that's what we've been doing. And it's been a little bit challenging, honestly, just a little bit. Especially like, I don't know,
It would be really hard. I mean, I can't get like my writing to look right when I'm like writing an Instagram post. I can imagine. And you know, there's companies like Squarespace that they make creating a website easy, and in theory, a person like me could get on and just plug and chug things, but it never looks right when I do it. Or WordPress or something. What are y'all's? Are y'all's WordPresses for your resume one?
And then we use Wix for the,
Oh, Wix, yeah.
for the, what's that, the other
business days.
And then the other one we had to do by like, we had to code.
You had to actually code it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it really hard?
Yes.
Is it?
It's a lot of trial and error.
I mean, after
Yeah.
a while though, like, you can get the concept and stuff, but then once you type it in and you try to make it work, it doesn't ever work. So then you have to like look it up.
Figure it out.
Yes.
and then like, if you like mess up like on one thing,
Yeah.
mess up like
Everything. I know, that's what I was laughing, like y'all are laughing, but we tried to change our hours. We changed something from 10 to 11. So all we did, we thought, was take like a 0, make a 1 or something like that, 1, make a 0. and the whole thing's like wonky. And like it's sad that I can't just that one of us, we're all adults, that one of us can't just look at it and be like, oh, this is the root, like, oh, put a space there. So yeah, it's good.
You like made my whole entire website white. It was so bad.
So how are y'all? What are you using to learn how to code though?
Treehouse.
Treehouse. Okay.
It's really good. Okay, so it's super boring at first. Like, you know, it's really
Yeah.
hard to watch like the videos and go through all that. But it's so worth it because it's interesting as well as challenging.
Okay.
And then like once you get to actually creating the website, then you're like, I can actually do this.
Right.
And you're really proud of yourself.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty
I mean, that's and how old are you?
17,
18. I'm 16. I'm 17.
Yeah, that's so impressive. Because these are like great skills you can take into school and beyond. I mean, there's so many people are not set up like this. Actually, I should see if I know this girl. She would be like a cool resource if you wanted to continue doing stuff like this. Okay, well now y'all got your pins out. And I'm like, crap, what's her name?
You can send it to me. Or to
Yeah,
Elijah
maybe
if you
I'll
want.
do that. I just saw something that she was doing, but it was specifically around girls coding. Rachel Gray.
Oh, Rachel?
Do y'all know her? Is that
Yeah.
Rochelle?
Yeah.
Did she come here?
Yes.
She's rad. I love her. She's
That's
great.
perfect. It's validation. We actually just saw her on Saturday.
Coulter
Actually,
code?
No, well, the entrepreneurial boot camp that her and
Yes.
Angelique are doing, we are making the websites for the
Cool.
participants.
Okay, so then you all know more than I do about what's going on. Then she is awesome. She's like exactly who would be. Wait, is this y'all? Mm-hmm. Now I feel like an idiot. She's awesome. She's obviously much more prepared than I'm with her. She's got the PowerPoint going.
No, well, to be
Different.
clear, she was talking to us about how to select fonts, how to determine what
Okay.
color palettes to use, etc.
Gotcha.
Everybody else has come in and been chill.
Chill,
It's like,
okay.
this has been perfect.
So that's great. Maybe I'll see you guys at some because I just
For sure.
I aspire to like be, kind of like watch what she's doing and keep up with her because she's really in the know with a lot of this. So maybe I'll see you all at
Yeah.
some of her stuff. So, would you have any other questions? Yeah.
I had a comment.
Yeah.
It's kind of off topic.
Yes.
So earlier, when you first came here, you were saying that everyone knows how to control a remote control. And I just wanted to let you know, everyone doesn't know how to work a remote control.
Well, these are different, right?
No,
these
like,
are like
my
technology.
grandmother came over yesterday and she was like, how do you press play?
That's tricky.
Yeah.
And like I was like, well, she knows how to work an iPhone and a phone, but she can't work a remote control.
She could work a dial though, like you have never seen on
I don't think she knows how to work
Work a
it.
dial.
I bet she can work a dial on the TV. She can put that foil on the.
Even my 2.5-year-old can pretty much.
I don't even know what a dial is.
Yes,
Oh,
so
oh,
they just
oh.
have the dial here, like one down here.
That's funny. Well, it's nice to meet you guys.
Coulter, thank you so much.
I'm Lauren Coulter. If you find me, like, if you ever want to chat or anything, hit me up. I'm always Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are my good days. Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm at.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.